Hi, I'm Katie Phillips. I founded the School of Self-Love. Thank you so much for joining me for the replay of the workshop that I ran today called Self-Love 101. I thought I'd do a quick introductory hello here because for some odd reason that when I created the workshop today and we did that live with a really beautiful group of women, for some reason, an image of me didn't actually appear on the recording. So it's just my voice. And I really wanted it to be interactive. I wanted you to be able to see me and connect with me through the teaching. But unfortunately, you only get my voice. So I just wanted to say hi and enjoy the training. And I will be attaching to this email details so that you can find out more about the self-love bundle I talked about in the training and how you can access that. And I hope to do some work with you throughout the rest of 2020. For now, enjoy the training. There's a hell of a lot in there for you to take away and apply immediately. Thanks again for joining, and I'm sending you so much love. Bye. And I do believe we're recording.
Cool.
Press play. Ta-da! We'll see that, okay? So can someone just unmute themselves and tell me that the presentation is viewable right now? Can you see it?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yes.
Thank you, guys. All right. So before we dive in, please mute yourselves. If you would like to chat with each other, there is a chat box. You're so welcome. While I've got the screen in this presentation sharing mode, I can't see the chat. But go ahead and chat amongst yourselves, share the love. And before we begin, let's just take a moment to just close our eyes. And as we do so well, those of you who've been joining me through our morning sessions and meditations, let's just connect in just briefly. Just take a few breaths. Let's do the noisy breath that I love so much, where you breathe in and make the noise like a groan. Just exhale. Anyone joining us right now be thinking, what on earth is she up to? Notice that as you exhale like that and make that noise, it vibrates against your heart, which really allows us to drop in. Someone's not unmuted, so if you could just check that you're muted. While I love hearing you breathe. Let's just have these few moments to ourselves to just connect in. Notice as your chest, your heart vibrates with that sound. You can just drop into your heart and notice how good it feels to be home. Beautiful. So good to have you all joining. Thank you so much for being here with me. I'm a huge believer that this moment in time is precious, and I'm feeling this very powerfully as I'm saying it because I can even feel the tears coming up. This might sound weird to say, but I actually think it's a privilege to be here on this planet at this very specific time. I think we're all here to learn and grow and evolve, and that's the human experience as spiritual beings. We're always being invited to learn and grow and evolve and take our spiritual self to the next level. And those of us humans here, those of us spiritual beings here on the planet right now, there's no mistake that we are here right now. We've been born into this world right now for a reason. And those of you that are here on the call, and the reason I'm here on the call, that I'm in a position of teacher and guide right now, is because our purpose is to really, really pay attention and to evolve our souls at to a depth and at a rate beyond that which perhaps the majority of the population are being called. Like, you're being called. And I wonder if you can feel that. I wonder if you just know in your gut. And as I'm saying that, feel free to close your eyes and just tune in. Do you know in your gut that you're here for such a time as this? Like, this is a special moment in history, and you are being invited to up level. And just as the planet, our Earth, is up leveling, we are in a position of huge transition right now. And we're in a space of massive global healing. So while we're seeing a lot of sickness and a lot of panic and a lot of stress and worry, before any major growth, before any major change, there is a period of discomfort. And sometimes that does present itself as illness. Sometimes it does present itself as emotions that we just don't even know how to compute, how to deal with. In healing modalities, often that's called a healing crisis. The moment that we're at right now, it's a healing crisis. It's the moment before we experience the healing. It's the transition and discomfort before the change. We're in it. And I genuinely think that we're privileged to be in it right now. Yeah. So thank you for joining me. Today, we are going to learn what it means to live transformationally. Our souls came here to evolve, to transform. So let's dive in. Good to have you. Hold on a minute. Let's see if I can make it work. Why aren't you working? Come on. No, we've got lots of banging. Come on, presentation. Oh, there I am. I don't know how that happened. That's me. So I'm Katie. I am, a lot of you already know me, but just to reiterate, in case you are new, I am an author. I wrote a book called The Self-Love Affair, A Woman's Guide to a Daring and Mighty Life. I'm a therapeutic coach. I founded the School of Self-Love. I am a speaker and presenter and host in the women's wellbeing and empowerment space. I am also a funeral celebrant. That's an interesting one. And I'm married now at the age of, I'm 45 now. I got married last year officially, so it took me a while to get there. And we have 3 children between us. But of course, those 3 children didn't happen in the last year. There's a story behind that. We're a blended family. And I'm an Aussie. I'm from Sydney, and I've been living in the UK for, it's any minute now, it's going to be 20 years. And I don't know where the time went. So we teach what we need to learn. Yeah. 10 years ago, I began what I refer to as my personal and spiritual journey. I hit rock bottom about just a little more than 10 years ago. Some of you know my story, but please bear with me. I would like to share a little bit of it again now, because I just wonder if some of you on this call might relate. And I think women in particular, but men too, of course, but we love a storytelling, right? We love to sit around and share our stories and not feel alone in the world. And we learn from each other through storytelling. So when I think back to just a little over 10 years ago, I had not long I left the father of my child. And we were just a few months off getting married, actually. And I found myself, I sort of went from frying pan into fire, and I found myself in a rebound relationship. Anyone else done that? And it got to a point where it just wasn't going well. And one of my biggest pieces in my life where I've had to learn my hardest lessons has been in relationship. That's been a really big piece for me. And so this relationship had come to an end. It was full of drama. It was full of anxiety. It was incredibly unhealthy on every level. And I was already suffering terrible anxiety, which, because I didn't know how to deal with that, I didn't know how to process all of my big emotions. Not least about a decade before that, my mum took her own life. I was 22 and I never even fully properly grieved or got over that. So I just had this so much emotion that I never fully processed, didn't know what to do with. And emotions, we're going to talk about this in the presentation today. Repressed emotions create depression. So I was depressed as well. And I found myself on this particular day, which I call my rock bottom, in my bedroom of the home that I was sharing with him. But we'd just broken up and I had a week to find somewhere else to live. And I had a 2-year-old in tow. And I was literally on the floor with anxiety, literally. And I had reached a point of a level of I did not know who I was. And I was exhausted from always being in survival mode. I was so depressed because I didn't know how to handle all of my emotions. And then so they went to a space of just completely numbed out. And I put myself in bed on this day, like 1 o'clock in the afternoon, drew the blinds, closed the door. And I took Valium because I just wanted the world to go away. And while I wasn't suicidal, I definitely didn't know how to deal with life. And I didn't know, I knew for sure that I couldn't keep doing life the way I was. I couldn't keep repeating the patterns of behavior the way I had been. I couldn't bear to go through another breakup, to go into another relationship, to end up in another breakup. I couldn't bear it. I, at this point, didn't have any money. I hadn't worked out another place to live. I wasn't working. I didn't own a car. So it was literally me and a 2-year-old and so much uncertainty. And I knew that while I would probably figure something out and survive it, I just couldn't feel this pain and keep putting myself in situations and circumstances like this any longer. But I didn't know what to do. And that just felt enormous. And I definitely wanted the world to go away that day. But then I had this kind of realization that in that moment, I had actually become my mother, which was kind of terrifying. Or while my mom was a beautiful human and I was beautifully parented by her, I didn't want to end up like her. I didn't want to be this anxious, clinically depressed person that was fast tracking towards suicide. And so I thought that I had spent the last sort of 10, 12 years avoiding turning out like that. And yet there I was in that bedroom. And the way my mum died was identical. So she had locked herself in her bedroom. She overdosed on tablets. She also had just broken up with her boyfriend and was also a week of having to find somewhere else to live. When she was found, there was maps and so on her bedside table because she was figuring out places that she was going to go check out and research in terms of, where was she going to live next. So it was identical. And I didn't know anything about anything at that point. But what I felt, and I knew in my bones was true, was that even though I've been trying not to repeat her sabotaging patterns of behavior and ways of being in the world, and I still ended up at the same place. I was a puppet to my conditioning and programming, no matter how I rebelled against it, because I didn't have tools and techniques to show me a different way of doing life. I ended up in exactly the same position. And that just sort of hit me between the eyes. And I knew that I had to figure out a different way of doing life, kind of like my life depended on it. And in that moment, I decided that everything needed to change, but I didn't know where to begin. And I will hold my hands up and say I wasn't doing it for myself. I was doing it for my son at that moment. Like, he was absolutely my motivation. So that was the beginning of a very long and interesting and incredible journey that brings me to this day, where I'm suddenly a coach and guiding and helping men and women to truly know who they are, to truly fall in love with themselves, and to live life transformationally. There's some information there on the screen about my journey. 5 years ago, I began my wild woman journey, which led me to then teaching and coaching around this masculine feminine energy dynamic. And 3 years ago, I called in my soulmate after 8 years being single. So after that experience in that bedroom, 8 years I was single. And I did a lot of healing and a lot of growth to move me to a space of being able to feel an empowered woman, to then be the energetic match to call in the empowered masculine. And we have an incredible relationship. And I do not repeat those unhealthy relationship habits that I used to have. Occasionally some will rear their ugly head, and yet I am able to see them and share them with my husband and process them together, and we heal together. So there's no more drama in my life. And once upon a time I was addicted to drama, and I don't remember the last time I felt anxiety. So that's pretty cool, right? So I wonder if you can relate to this. I don't know who I am, so how can I love myself? Does that resonate with any of you? I wonder, because that was where I was at. I had this sense that day in that bedroom that I needed to learn to love myself. It occurred to me that it was something that wasn't modeled to me. While I had beautiful messaging from my mum about how to take care of myself, and like I had lovely, loving messaging from her that you could say was all around self-love, she didn't model it. And so I kind of knew that was something I had to learn, and I had to understand what was self-love. But first I had to know who I was to love. And that was a huge part of this journey. And I even feel it now as I'm talking to you, just how profound it is to decide, I want to know who I am. Like, I really want to know who I am, warts and all. I want to just have this solid foundational relationship with myself, so that whenever life throws a curveball, I've got me. No matter what, I've got me. I was really just deeply desiring that experience of myself. So let's take a look. What actually is self-love? It's not a tick box or destination. It's a daily practice and a way of doing life that invites you to compassionately connect with all parts of yourself. Amen to that. It is absolutely a daily practice. I can't stress that enough. And it's an ongoing piece. So how I love myself today is different to how I loved myself last week. I feel like it's always growing and it's always evolving and it's always deepening. And because I'm committed to knowing myself and loving myself and living transformationally, which is what I'm about to teach you, my daily practices are so important to always keep the growth going, keep the growth moving forward. I'm always evolving. And it's about loving all parts of me. So self-love isn't just kind of extreme self-care. It's not just candlelit baths and beautiful walks in the countryside, but it's a bloody good place to start. So that day when I, finally got out of that bed and washed my face and went and picked up my son from nursery, I had no idea where to begin. So I started with self-care. I started with taking care of my body. So I did start with the beautiful walks. I started with baths. I started to eat better. I started to get better sleep. Then I started meditating, right? So that it began there. But what I came to discover, and what I'm really passionate about, is this piece that self-love is about loving your intellect, that part of you. Yes, it's about loving your body, as I just said. It's about loving your emotional self, and it's about loving your spiritual self. And what do I mean by all those pieces? We're going to find out as we move through this training. Before I tell you any more, though, I wonder if you can relate to this. Self-love is indulgent, egotistical, and selfish. Right? I grew up in Australia, and in the playground in Sydney, the most insulting thing you could say to somebody is, "Oh my God, she loves herself so much." And I never wanted anyone to say that about me, and they did, and we did. It's like, this was the biggest insult that we would fling around the schoolyard. You love yourself so much. And we, it's not something that we feel proud of. It's not something in our society that we have embraced as being a beautiful, valuable quality. Self-love, total self-trust, self-acceptance, self-compassion, gentleness, self-kindness. we haven't learned to trust that in our society. In fact, we've judged it. But what I've come to discover, and I have evidence of this everywhere in my life now, and I see it in my clients' lives, is that when we learn this ability to put ourselves first, to take care of ourselves first, to put on our gas mask before we put on the gas mask of anybody next to us, you know, the airplane crashing analogy. If we don't learn to do that for ourselves first, the people we love most will not be getting the best of us. One of my biggest problems in relationship historically was I was a total martyr. I was always looking at them and judging them for what they hadn't done, and poor me, and I'm handling everything and I'm doing everything. I was always giving when I wanted to give. I'm a very loving, caring, kind person, actually. But I wasn't able to do that for myself. So I was giving from an empty source. I didn't have the overspill of the love and the kindness and compassion for myself to then share with anybody else. So they were getting a really kind of shriveled up, resentful version of me. It wasn't nice. So not only did that not feel good for them, because they were getting a pretty bitchy version of me, it felt awful for me. It actually felt soul destroying, because I knew that all I really wanted to do was love. I just wanted to take care of someone and just love them and see the light in them and encourage them and support them. And that deep desire to do that for another person was sabotaged. I couldn't even enjoy taking care of them because it was just coming from this kind of bitchy, victim-y space, because I didn't know how to take care of myself first. So quite frankly, the people you love, the projects that you're incredibly passionate about, none of that stuff is getting the best version of you unless you learn to take care of yourself. So like step one is get over this idea that self-love is indulgent, egotistical, and selfish. It's a total lie. So moving past that, self-love invites you to treat yourself as you would a small child and to talk to yourself as you would a best friend. We are not kind to ourselves, are we? Imagine, and I've used this analogy so many times, but imagine there's a small child, 5-year-old, and she's learning how to ride a bike. And every time she falls off or her feet don't quite hit the pedals properly or whatever, you say, "Oh my God, you're such an idiot. You are hopeless. You're pathetic. I can't even believe you haven't got the hang of this yet. Why is it taking you so long? They can do it. They're obviously a lot better than you. You're just not good enough." Can you imagine speaking like that to a child? We just would never do it. We would never speak like that to our best friends. We would never speak like that to our partners, the people that we love. We just wouldn't. It's just mean, right? So self-love invites you to change up the language and approach yourself with the same way that you would approach a child. And here's what we're developing. Most of us desire to have more self-compassion, more self-care, more self-understanding, and more self-trust. And that's what you're developing. So you're developing compassion when you learn to love your mind and you start learning and training it to think thoughts that are self-loving and not self-harming. And you start to understand yourself to such a degree, and I do a lot of inner child work with my clients, my private clients, where you can start to understand why you're thinking the way you're thinking, because it's come from a place in your way back in your history where it suddenly makes sense that you would speak to yourself like that because you had that experience and it hasn't healed. So there's a lot of self-compassion that can be gained from understanding your mind and why you think the way you do, why you're running the patterns that you are in your head. That's self-compassion, self-care, taking care of your body. Self-understanding, really learning how to acknowledge your full range of emotions. We're going to talk about this a bit more in the training. Acknowledging all of your emotions, the myriad of emotions that you experience, never judging it as good or bad, and really loving yourself enough to give yourself the time and space to feel them and to express them. and to understand where they're coming from. And there's a link between the mind and the emotions because we feel what we're thinking. So when you start to have compassion for your thoughts, you can then start to understand your emotions, and your emotional experience of yourself starts to heal as well. When you start thinking healthier thoughts, self-loving, not self-harming thoughts, you're going to start to feel the difference in your body. And self-trust. Most women I speak to have this desire that they want to trust themselves more. And trust comes from, oh my gosh, so many things. For me, number one, it's developing a relationship with my spiritual self. When I have this deep connected relationship to my spirit, where I know I'm hooked in and plugged into source energy, God, life, the universe, whatever your language is, I just know I can trust myself. I know that if I make my decisions from my spirit, it's so aligned with me, it's so authentic that I can trust it. And it's a practice, it's a practice to get to a place of really tuning in and tapping into your intuition and being able to operate from that space. So much more I could say on that. That's probably even another training. Moving on. So here, I hope you all did bring pens and paper to the training. I want you to gauge where you're at in terms of self-love and in terms of these 4 areas, these 4 parts of you. So just take a moment to ask yourself, how do you talk to yourself? Just top line it. What does your inner critic often tell you? Maybe you could just write 3 things. I know that a piece for me that I've done a lot of work on over the years, and it can still come up for me, is that's not meant for you, it's meant for somebody else. It's meant for others, but not for you. That was a big piece that I healed to be able to call in my husband. I thought that everyone else was lucky, but not me. That was such a mean thing I used to tell myself. So what I used to tell myself, I'm not enough, I'm not good enough. There's obviously something wrong with me. You're obviously damaged. Yeah, really nasty things. So I wonder, how do you talk to yourself? Just note down the top 3 things that you always tell yourself. And then when you look in the mirror, what do you tell yourself? So now we're looking at your relationship with your body. So what level is your self-care at? How are you caring for that body of yours? And maybe, what are you telling yourself when you look in the mirror? How mean are you to your body? Nearly all of my life, except for the past maybe 3 or 4 years, I finally got to a place I hated my boobs. Hated them. They were too big. The irony is I didn't get boobs till I was about 18. I was such a late developer. And then it was like all my wishes came true when, boom, God gave me these huge boobs. And I've learned to love them. But it took some time. Crazy, isn't it? Crazy. Most women say they really want boobs. But, we all want what we don't have. And it's crazy making. How often do you stop and notice your feelings, and what are they? And how do you express them? So this is your relationship to your emotional self. Do you even have a language maybe for what you're feeling? Do you know how to connect with all of your feelings? Does it just feel too much? Is it too overwhelming? Yeah. So where are you at in terms of being able to connect with your feelings? Just make a few notes around that. Just notice what you notice. Your truth is going to come through today on this call, and you're going to just connect with, just being really honest with yourself. No one else needs to know. You don't need to share it. It's in your private journal. No one's going to read it. If you're scared of that, you can burn it later. But where do you know you're at in terms of your emotional relationship with yourself? And then your spiritual self. How often do you feel a sense of peace and inner connection? And this is a really powerful question. How often do you feel safe and held by life? To what degree do you think life is happening to you rather than for you? Yeah. Some powerful questions there if you dare to be really super honest with yourselves. Okay, let's move on. The exciting bit, the 7 pillars of self-love. So these 7 pillars of self-love are what I mean when I talk about living transformationally. If you hear me saying that, you're like, oh, what does she bloody mean when she says living transformationally? This is what I mean. There's other stuff to it, right? But these are, from my perspective and what I know to be true in my own life, and I see it in my clients' lives, these 7 pillars, if we can really begin to bring these pieces into our day-to-day living, they are game-changing. Game-changing. If you want to know yourself, if you want to love yourself, if you want to feel like you have that foundational connection with you, so that when life throws the curveball, you got this, you're there for you, you can respond to life rather than react to life. This is the way. Self-love invites you to live transformationally, right? It's about loving yourself enough to live, to learn this new way of being, a way that perhaps no one ever has shown you. Self-love invites you to live transformationally, which directly increases your self-compassion, self-care, self-understanding, and self-trust. Pillar number 1. Awareness is the first step towards change. You guys were just doing that little exercise where I was inviting you to be really honest, like brutally honest with where you're at in terms of gauging your self-love. That's step 1 to living transformationally. It's loving yourself enough to get real, requires immense bravery, but you will never look back. It's the hardest thing to do, to be really, really honest with ourselves. We all have, and we'll talk about this more in a moment, we all have very, very sophisticated coping mechanisms and distraction techniques and numbing out behaviors that mean we don't have to go there with this awareness piece. We really, most of the time, don't want to. We don't want to know what we're really thinking and feeling about stuff, because if we really get honest with ourselves, a lot of the time, excuse me one second. Excuse me. A lot of the time when we really go there, because we know our truth, we do know, but we've pushed it down and buried it down. If we really go there, we kind of know that things have got to change. Things need to shift. Perhaps a relationship needs to end. Perhaps you need to move home. Maybe you need to change jobs. Maybe you've got to have a conversation that you really don't want to have. Maybe you've got to really braver up and have a, heal a relationship that you just know you're being called to heal that pattern of behavior in that relationship. And it's going to take work and persistence, but you don't really want to do it. It's going to be hard. So why go to the awareness first? Most people aren't brave enough to begin this journey of transformational living. Most people are not brave enough. You are here on the call because you are brave, right? Because you're willing to give it a go. We all got to start somewhere, and I'll never forget starting the process of getting honest with myself. A lot of things ended. A lot of things, and a lot of beautiful, miraculous stuff was born, and I will never ever look back. I couldn't feel more proud of myself because I was so brave to be so honest with myself about things in my life that weren't working, and I frigging well did the work to create the change, and I invested in myself, and I got support, and I made it happen, and I'm so proud of myself for that. Dissatisfaction is a gift inviting you to live more authentically. And that's the great thing, that, we don't like feeling dissatisfied. We don't like the discomfort and the agitation we feel when we just know stuff's got to change. And so what we do is, like I was saying, we numb out, we drink wine, we watch Netflix, we go online shopping, we gamble, we overwork, we focus all of our attention on the relationship we're in, so we don't have to focus on our own stuff. We eat, we smoke, what's yours. We've all got them, right? You know what you do. We don't want the dissatisfaction. But if we are brave enough to get real about what's really going on and why we're dissatisfied and what is looking to be healed and transformed, it's the most glorious gift, because it's your soul literally saying, hey, sweetheart, you're not on track. You're meant for more than this. Yeah, there's going to be a bit of a discomfort between where we're at now and where we want to be, but it's going to be worth it. So it's a beautiful, dissatisfaction is a beautiful gift. So quick exercise, super quick, on a scale of 1 to 10, where 1 is like not good and 10 is amazing. How loving are your thoughts? You've already done a little bit of self-reflection. So where are you at in terms of love, of thinking thoughts that love you and don't harm you? Thoughts that are helpful rather than unhelpful. A scale of 1 to 10. On a scale of 1 to 10, how compassionately do you relate to your emotions? Are you like completely in love with your emotional range and you're dedicated to creating time and space to feeling the emotions and expressing the emotions that need it? Or are you numbing out? And as I used to, it was my old behavior was to drink wine and watch Netflix to completely numb out. When I was younger than that moment I'm thinking of there, I used to take ecstasy and go to raves and dance parties to completely numb out. I would throw myself into relationships that were full of drama, because the drama definitely numbed me out and meant I didn't have to focus on what really needed attention, which was me, healing me. How kind are you to your body? On a scale of 1 to 10, how do you take care of yourself? How often are you really nurturing yourself, giving it the exercise it needs, the good food it needs, the sleep it needs, those beautiful baths, the rest and relaxation? How kind are you to your body? And on a scale of 1 to 10, how much do you trust yourself? 10 being I completely trust myself. I'm totally led by my intuition and I feel completely safe in the world. Life is holding me and taking care of me. Or 1, life is happening to me. I'm completely unlucky. I feel scared. I am not taken care of. I used to feel like that. Step 2 on the transformational living scale is feeling is your route to healing. I love that. Feeling is your route to healing. Love yourself enough to honor and express all of your emotions, no matter how scary or impossible it may seem. The truth is, you will survive it. I remember times in my life where I have had to really go there with my feelings and really allow emotion to come through that was so scary, that seemed so scary to me. I remember a time in my life where I had anger. And by the way, when I was doing this work, I was doing it with a coach or a therapist or within some kind of group session. So I wasn't alone with these bigger examples I'm giving you. I would never recommend doing that alone. And I remember times where the anger was so scary. And I did not think that there was any possible way of releasing that from my body in a way where like somebody wouldn't get murdered or that I wouldn't die. I felt sadness and grief and loss to such a degree that when I was in the middle of it thinking, I genuinely don't think I can survive this. I genuinely thought I was going to die. But we don't. It's just an emotion. And it does pass through us. And it is our route to healing, because all of those emotions, as they're being pushed down and blocked and numbed out by all our clever behaviors, it's just a toxin that's building in our body. It's a toxin that's making us sick. It's a toxin that the longer we repress it and push it down is making us depressed. Long-term repression equals depression. And we need to love ourselves enough to give these feelings some safe space to come out, whether that's through crying, whether it's journaling, angry journaling, and then burning it, whether it's, and I've loved this practice and I've led many, many groups and workshops through this process of catharsis therapy, where I give you a baseball bat and we smash the crap out of pillows and we scream and cry. But it's a very safe, held space to be able to do it. I've done a lot of that work myself, and there is honestly nothing better than just getting it out. It's such a release not to be carrying the weight of all of that emotion around with us. And here's the thing, we think we're so, I'm just checking the time, we think we're so clever that we can, selectively push down our emotions. We think that, I don't want to feel that anger. I don't want to feel that deep grief. And so I'm going to pretend, I'll just brush over it and pretend that everything's okay, or I'll go watch another Netflix box set and pretend it's okay. But the problem is, when we don't pay that attention, when we selectively, we think we're sort of switching off the anger and the grief, we're also switching off our joy and our happiness, our excitement. And that's where the depression comes in. You can't selectively switch off emotion. When you push down and numb out one, you're pushing down and numbing out them all. Which is why we get to a place of feeling numb, right? It's a pretty scary place to be when we're numb. So ask yourself every day, this is such a powerful practice. If you take nothing else away from today's training but this, when you wake up every morning, ask yourself, how do I feel? And what do I need? How do I feel? What do I need? Just to start building that emotional muscle. How can I safely release my emotions today? What could I do? As emotions come up during the day, maybe anger comes up or sadness comes up, and you need to have a good scream or a good cry, but you can't do it in that moment. So you're going to love yourself enough to take self-responsibility to just kind of make a mental note that there's an emotion here looking to be felt. And I know that when I'm brave enough to feel it in a safe and loving space, I'm going to be healing. And the next level higher version of me can then come through. I'm not holding her back, that part of me back. And so you'll just kind of choose a time and place to maybe go home and put on a film that will make you cry, and just have a good cry. Or book a session with your therapist or your coach and really vent the anger. Yeah? It's really, really powerful and self-responsible piece is checking in with your emotions. Again, I do run 90-minute workshops just around emotion and emotional expression. So we're kind of top lining it here. Number 3 in the 7 pillars of self-love. So pillar number 3 is forgiveness. Forgiveness creates peace, health, and freedom. It creates mental and emotional peace, physical health, spiritual freedom. I wonder if you can feel the truth of that. When we're not forgiving, we're mentally tormented. We're physically getting sick because we're holding these toxins in our body that are making us sick. Yeah. Spiritually, we're not coming from a place of love and surrender and acceptance. It's our spiritual nature is to forgive, and we all want to feel free. We don't get to feel spiritually free if we're holding on to anger and resentment. It's such a tight, restrictive, fearful energy. So living transformationally is inviting you into this very brave process of forgiveness and having that become, I was about to say a daily practice. It's not necessarily a daily practice, but it's a practice that you want to be going to regularly. Whenever there's something to forgive, you want to be learning a way and strengthening that muscle to be able to bring that into your way of approaching life that's just really natural. The choice to release wrongdoing, hurt, and injustice from self or others is the function of the heart and capacity of the soul. So you don't need to know how to forgive. It's an experience you can choose to receive. And that's really powerful, that last sentence. It's an experience you can choose to receive, because it isn't something that you do. It's not a step-by-step process I can teach you, although I can teach you all sorts of tools and techniques to help you move into a space of forgiveness. Of course, I've got beautiful meditations and writing practices, and there are tools that you can use to support your forgiveness process, of course. And it's not something that you can intellectually even begin to understand or explain. It's a very experiential thing. And it really is it's about allowing your heart and your spirit to just take over and do it for you. And you'll know when it's done. You'll just know. I remember having, a good 10 years ago now, doing a very powerful forgiveness piece around somebody in my life that I genuinely thought, like, when I was invited to forgive and have compassion for that person who'd hurt me so much, and the level of hurt had just sort of sabotaged and impacted so many years of my life, I thought, there's no way. I just don't have it in me. I want to. Sounds like a great idea, but I don't have that capacity within me. And to have handed over to my spirit and my heart to do the work, that was incredible. It was an incredible experience, and I did experience full compassion and forgiveness, and it's hard to put into words how good that feels and what a weight was lifted and how it really did change my life. It really did. Buddha said that to not forgive is like picking up a hot coal with the intention of throwing it at the person we're angry with, but as we hold that coal, the person that gets most burned is us. I don't think I need to elaborate on that. We are just making ourselves sick, though, by holding on to toxic anger and resentment and blame. A lot of us are quite addicted to needing to be right. So we don't really want to forgive because then we don't get to be right. Right? Does that resonate, I wonder? So quick exercise. Think of someone or something that's hurt you. I know I just said this is a quick exercise, and I do acknowledge and recognize that this is a big question. So maybe it's something that you want to kind of just take away and sit with and meditate on in your own space. But I wonder, is there someone or something in your life that is looking for forgiveness? And I think you know immediately if there is. So just with that person in mind, just spend a moment right now. Just feel how it feels when you think of that person or that thing that needs forgiving. How does it feel in your body? Where do you feel it in your body? And just notice that it's probably a pretty heavy, dark feeling. It's probably tight and restrictive. It might even be burning. It might be hot, tingling. Just take a moment to acknowledge how feeling like that is a toxin in your body that will be making you sick. And we are all energetic beings, right? We feel each other's energy. So when you walk into a room carrying the toxicity of holding on to blame and resentment and anger for somebody else, it's felt. Like, we humans, we feel each other because we're spiritual. Actually, we're energetic and we feel each other. You can feel the energy coming off an angry person, right? We just know. We would describe someone like they're an angry person. I used to be an angry person. It's felt. People know it, and sometimes I still can be. And I know what to do to release that, so that I'm not taking that out with me into the world. It's not nice for me, and it's not nice for the people around me. So if you're willing today, living transformationally begins with intention. And you don't need to do anything more with it, but just set the intention for now. If you're willing, I invite you to set the intention to forgive that thing or that person that first sprung to mind. And you might not know how. I'm going to share some stuff with you soon, processes and support and programs that I have that could help you with this. For now, just set the intention to let it go. Okay? Everything begins with a choice. Just begins with choosing. So pillar number 4 is, well, like I was just saying, it's living intentionally. When we're living intentionally, it means you're living in choice. I just said that. Yeah, so loving yourself shifts your perspective to a lens of kindness. You're invited to remember that life loves you too. Life is happening for you, not to you. And you can co-create with that energy through living consciously and setting intentions. Life is happening for you, not to you. I really like this piece about loving yourself shifts your perspective to a lens of kindness, because when we're choosing to love ourselves, we're going to notice when we start observing the world and reacting to the world in a way that suggests that we don't feel safe and we don't trust it, that it's out to get us in some way. Like, that's not self-loving, is it? When we are thinking that, you know, I'm unlucky, the world doesn't support me, I'm not guided, other people are, I don't feel safe. When we're thinking that, we're feeling pretty horrible, aren't we? So self-love invites us to think a thought that has us feel safe, that has us feel taken care of, that's kind, that's not self-harming. So self-love invites you to look at the world with the lens of, actually, there's a lot of good in the world. There's a lot of love and light in the world. People are taking care of each other. I can see examples in my life of where I have been guided and I have been supported and miracles did happen and I was put on the right path. Of course, you're going to have examples that could prove that life is happening to you and you're unlucky and you're not supported or safe. Of course you could, because you only have to look at coronavirus right now. You only have to look at terrorism. You only have to look at how nasty people can be to each other to feed that belief that the world isn't a safe place. But there's something else going on. And self-love invites you to look at the beauty. It invites you to look at just, yeah, all the love and light that's happening in the world. It's a beautiful way to exist. Much kinder. So setting intentions. How do I love myself? Oh, okay, this is a good question. How do I love myself when I don't even like myself? Because I put that there, by the way, because it's something I've been asked several times by women. How do I love myself when I don't even like myself? It just seems like, oh my God, I'm here and I've got to get there. That's a mountain to climb. Where do I even begin? The answer is to set the intention and allow life to guide you in a way that is just perfect for you. The way that you individually begin your healing journey, start to live transformationally, let go of what no longer serves you, bring in new beliefs and behavioral habits. Your transformational process, your personal evolution, your soul growth is so unique to you. So while somebody might, like me, will be offering you tools and techniques and programs and all different kinds of support to help you on your journey home to you, your journey is still unique to you. Even if you work with me within all of my different programs and so on, you're always going to be invited to have your own experience. I will never tell you what to do. And lots of different things and modalities and people and guidance is going to come to you. So you're here because apparently, who am I to say, apparently there's something here for you. There's something in this message, even if it's one thing that you take away today, that's going to contribute to you falling in love with yourself and learning to do life a different way, a more self-loving way. When I made that decision in my bedroom that day, I knew I had to learn to love myself. I didn't know where to begin. I set a very powerful intention that no matter what, I was going to figure out a different way. No matter what, I wasn't going to end up suicidal and dead for the sake of my son. I wasn't going to do that to him. I didn't know how. I didn't even know at that point that I was trusting something bigger than me to guide me. I had no idea. I can see in retrospect that I was being guided. And I was just, it was like following the breadcrumbs. It was read this book, Eat, Pray, Love. At the time the book was out, way before the film. That became my Bible. And then it was, oh, listen to this meditation, go see that therapist. Then it was, go see that coach. Then it was, listen to this Louise Hay kind of affirmation meditation sort of series, which taught me how to start practicing gratitude. I didn't even understand the concept of gratitude. I was such a victim at that point. I didn't think I had anything to be grateful for. Life was just mean, and my mum killed herself, like I was such a victim. But I was shown bit by bit. It could have been, sometimes it was a book, or it was the lines in a song, or a piece of poetry, or somebody just random would say something. I'd be like, oh, yeah, right? So you can't orchestrate that. There's no absolute guide to what it's going to be for you, but you have to set the intention and then trust that you're going to be shown. That was my journey, and it is definitely the journey of all of my clients. So all the women that work with me, most of them have been in therapy, most of them, before they come to me as a coach. Before I hired a coach, I was in therapy. They're all getting different things from different people. They've got their yoga teachers who they're learning from. They've got the books that they're reading. They've got the acupuncturist that they're seeing, and the craniosacral therapist that they're seeing. And right, they're taking the vitamins. Like they're supported from a multitude of angles that's just right for them. But we've got to set the intention to get started. So quick exercise, looking back earlier in the call, and I've got it there, that little gray box. You answered these questions. How do you talk to yourself? What do you tell yourself when you look in the mirror? How often do you acknowledge and feel your feelings? And how often do you feel a sense of peace and inner connection? How often do you feel safe and held by life? So do you remember those questions we did earlier? So choose one thing that you'd like to change. On the back of that little journaling exercise that you did, just pick one thing. What might feel like the most important piece out of that you just would like to begin working with? That's setting an intention. That's choosing. You could even write it down right now. I'm choosing right now to change up ... or to transform, or to heal, or to let go of, whatever feels true ... Just write it in your journal now. And I invite you to feel how it feels to set that intention. I really do invite you to connect with the feeling and have it not be an intellectual decision, like I should do that. I should probably do that. That's never going to work. That will never wash. If you really want to grow and evolve and transform anything, you've got to feel it. Because the work that you're then going to commit to it might really take you to your limits. It's going to very possibly require huge amounts of bravery. It is not for the faint of heart. So there is no way you're going to do that or heal that or let that go if you're not really emotionally invested, if you don't really freaking mean it. Yeah. And then some other examples of how you would set an intention. Then once you've chosen that thing that you're wanting to shift, you would set the intention to choose emotional expression around it. You would set the intention to do the feeling, that route to healing around it. You would feel what needs to be felt. You'd probably get supported through that process. You choose forgiveness. Likely there's someone or something, even yourself, needing to be forgiven, attached to whatever this piece is that needs shifting. And then you're going to choose So this is another intention, is choosing a new thought or a new behavior to practice to replace what you're letting go of, what you're shifting, what you're transforming. Yeah, it's brave, brave work. It's why when you go to the homepage of the School of Self.love, it says your journey to a daring and mighty life, because it is daring. It's very, very brave. And I love that you're on this call and that you're even willing to look at this. It's so exciting. I'm just going to do a quick time check. Oh, wow. I better hurry up. Okay, so we're on this page because we're halfway through the training. I will speed it up a little bit. If you have to leave, because I said it was 90 minutes, please do. And there will be a replay. But listen to this first before you jump off, because I'm going to make an offer that I am not going to make to anybody that listens to the replay. So if you're here live, I'm really, really honoring you right now for showing up for yourself and showing up live. I have an offer here, which I've called the Self-Love Bundle. And I'm very aware that we've got 9 months left of this year. And it occurred to me as well, 9 months is the period of gestation, right? And I feel so strongly that there's going to be quite a few people that are like, well, 2020 was going to be my best year, and that's screwed, isn't it? Coronavirus, that's ruined it for me. And it hasn't. There is a massive opportunity to actually create way more than would have been possible within our realm of understanding and awareness back in January. So I put something together that's 9 months of support to help you through this immediate time. So we've got 2 or 3 months optimistically of cocooning at home and not doing life as we always did. We've got this space and we are being invited to up level ourselves, to evolve ourselves spiritually. And I really want to support you through the next sort of 2 to 3 months specifically. And I want to help you to then integrate that into the rest of the year to really make it a great year. Like, this can be a great year. So you've probably heard me talking about the Evolution membership, which is £39 a month. This package, this bundle I'm pulling together for you, I want to offer you 9 months of the membership, which will take you all the way through to the end of December. That's worth £351 on its own. I want to offer you my reset, and I've made some notes here to tell you what these things include. Bear with me. And we will get back to the training because I've got some really cool stuff to share with you. Because I want you to leave this training feeling like you really learned something and you've got some really practical tools that you can start applying. So the reset, so that is private coaching with me. I send you a preparation packet, a really in-depth preparation packet, which really does begin the sort of awareness step, the awareness phase of transformational living. Preparation work followed by a 2-hour intensive coaching session with me. And women who've done that with me, and I know there's someone, I think there is someone this training, I can't see you right now, but they will testify that it is incredibly powerful work. I'm an intuitive coach as well as a therapeutic coach. We usually do some inner child work in this session, but it really depends what you bring and what's looking to be shifted. It's an emotional session for sure. What we do is we identify the one or two key things that are sabotaging you right now, and we absolutely clear them out, or we begin the process of clearing them out. But deep, powerful work happens, and it's really hard to market this. So many of my clients are like, how do you even market that? Like, how do you even put into words what just happened here? And I can't, because a lot of the coaching and the work I do is something that kind of comes through me rather than like me leading you through a process. So yeah, it's powerful. It's a powerful session. You get a follow-up coaching call with me for an hour within a month of that session. And within that month's time, you have WhatsApp access to me as well. So because the work is very powerful, I like to support you so that you just don't feel on your own. It's really important that you feel supported. And for anybody that signs up to this bundle today, because you've been on the live call, in addition to the special offer, which I'm getting to, I'm going to offer you an additional coaching call with me, which is worth £250. So that will be a bonus on top of this. So you get another coaching call with me. So if you really want to go to your next level, and by the way, it doesn't just have to be emotional pieces. I've been an entrepreneur for most of my career. When it comes to running an online business, when it comes to just running a business, it's something that I coach a lot of women around. I do a lot of work supporting people in relationship and how they can up level their relationship. I do a lot of work with single people and how to call in their person. There's so many different angles and aspects that we can work with. So private coaching just means we can dive deep into whatever it is that you need specific support in. I've got a big toolkit that I can draw on to help you. Then I'm offering Self-Love 101, which is my online course. It's a 16 module program that has 16 audio trainings and 19 video trainings. I'm going to give that to you as part of this bundle, which means you can just at your own pace do the program, take all of this work to another level in your own time. What else we got? Love Yourself Free from People Pleasing, my other online course, which is a 6-week program. So there's 6 audio classes, 6 training videos, all with worksheets. There's guided meditations and visualizations that attach to the course. Again, it's another home study program you can do anytime in your own time, a way to support yourself through this year. And if you don't get to it this year, you can do it next year, right? Super valuable. The Evolution membership, I didn't say what was included in that, actually. That's a monthly group coaching call. So you get me again supporting you at a really, really high level. A monthly guest expert. We have a different theme every month through the membership. So already we've had 3 months worth of membership take place. You'll get the library of everything that's already occurred and been created. So you're going to benefit from that. A different theme each month. So in January, we were goals, desires, and dreams. February, it was all around money. This month, which is a beautiful, miraculous, coincidence. It was all about knowing thyself, and next month is around self-care. So it seems appropriate with what we've all got going on. There's a very beautiful Facebook group where I pose a question every day that you can answer if you want or not, but it's around really strengthening your muscle around these pillars of self-love. There's an app that will just deliver you a little love note every day with a meme and an affirmation to support you that day, to kind of lift your spirits. It's really cool. It's really cool. So all of that, it's a lot, right? It's a lot. It's 9 months of support, potentially way longer than that, depending on when you want to do the online courses and how long you want to take to complete them. The value, £2,195. Special offer today, £997. All you need to do is pay a deposit of £247. And then there's 9 payments of £84. So this month, immediately you pay £247. And then from April through to December, you're paying £84 a month for a ton of support. So if that's of interest to you, I will, at the end of the session, I will put the link to that. Actually, maybe I should just do it now. Should I just escape? Hold on. And if I press stop share, and bear with me, people, because I'm not amazing at tech, but I am getting better. If I do that, that's the link. It just will take you straight to PayPal to pay the deposit. And then I connect with you. We'll jump on the phone. We'll talk it through. Okay, now I'm going to share my screen again. So I can actually see some of you now. Hello. That's nice. All right, let me share. Sharing again. There we go. And I need to press play. Great. Would somebody please mind just unmuting themselves and telling me that you can still hear me and see the presentation? Is it still working?
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes to both.
Thank you. Okay. Moving on. Pillar number 5, self-acknowledgement builds self-worth, self-esteem, and self-value. Most of us want to have more self-worth, self-esteem, and self-value, right? The way to build that within ourselves is to fully acknowledge ourselves. So those of you that have been on my morning calls every day the last sort of 10 days know that this is a huge part of the process that I'm guiding you through. Self-love invites you to take time to focus on the qualities you have and to break the habit of beating yourself up. Where we put our attention expands. Yeah? Where we put our attention expands while we're focusing on everything that we're not good at, and the stuff that we're not good at, and and qualities about ourselves that we don't really quite like, and that's going to be true too. While we only focus there, that's how we're feeling, and we're definitely not raising up our value and our worth. And for those of you who are in business, in fact, whether you're employed by somebody or whether you're self-employed, our self-worth, our self-value directly impacts our income and earning potential, right? It's a direct reflection. Again, I could do a whole other training on that. Self-acknowledgement. So we get what we focus on. When we spend time giving attention to our wealth of inner resources, we feel more and more fulfilled. Day by day, we build more and more self-esteem. Yeah. Well, that's so powerful, isn't it? What we give our attention to is what is expanding. And remembering that fact that we feel our thinking. When we're thinking, I'm not good enough, I'm not good at that, it feels awful in our body and it's making us sick. So I would invite you every day to journal. We've been doing this on our morning calls. 3 things that you're proud of yourself for. Can you do it now? Can you just quickly jot down and just see how it feels to do this? And even notice actually if you've got any resistance around it. Notice any emotions that come up for you because I'm asking you to write 3 things that you're proud of yourself for. What comes up for you? Maybe you're like, I don't even know what that question means. Like, that's resistance, because you do know. So what are you proud of yourself for? I would say, and just to reflect back on what I've just been sharing, I'm proud of myself for choosing to love myself and figure out a different way of doing life. And I did that for my son. I'm proud of the mother I am as a result. I'm proud of the wife I am as a result. I'm proud of the teacher and coach I am. I'm proud of myself for all of those things. I'm proud that I'm showing up and delivering this training to you today. I'm proud that I'm delivering a different training tomorrow. Like, it feels really, really good to be serving my community. I'm proud that I'm giving a full hour of my time every single morning to my community to just be supportive. I'm really proud of myself for that. So what are you proud of yourself for? And if it doesn't come naturally or quickly to start with, you've got to know that that's okay. And that's actually quite normal, because I can list things off I'm proud of really quickly because I'm connected to that. It feels good for me now. It feels like a habit or a normal thing for me to do to celebrate myself. But it didn't used to feel like that. So everything that I'm sharing with you, I really want to be honest and say, it's not going to happen overnight. And it will be I hate the word journey, but it will be a journey. And it'll happen just as it's meant to happen and evolve for you. And baby steps, bit by bit by bit, it will build and build and build every day. Like I said in the very beginning, self-love is a practice. It's not a destination. So writing stuff like what you're proud of yourself for will get easier and become more fun as time goes on. Yeah. And then I want you to write 3 things that you value about yourself. What do you value about you? Do you value your humor? Do you value your honesty, your persistence, your bravery, how you show up for yourself? Do you value that you're a good friend? I mean, they're pretty similar, proud and value, but I feel like what I value about myself would be qualities about myself that feel really unique to me and make me who I am and have me feel like I'm lovable. We need to know this about ourselves. We need to have front of mind what we value about ourselves. You're not going to like somebody who doesn't have qualities that you value, right? You're not going to love somebody that doesn't have qualities that you value. So if you want to like yourself, and if you want to grow that into love yourself, you want to connect to the qualities of you that are really valuable. Yeah. It's just a beautiful practice. Beautiful practice. The sixth pillar of self-love is gratitude. Gratitude builds a sense of security in the world. I'll explain more what I mean by that. An attitude of gratitude means you will feel good more often, because we all just want to be happy, and this is the route to happiness. So why does gratitude build a sense of security in the world? Because it means that we are developing that lens, like I was saying earlier, that sort of kind lens where we're actually looking to things that we can be grateful for. We're looking at, all that food in my fridge, I'm so grateful for that. I'm looking at the furniture in my home, or my children, I'm grateful for them. I'm looking for, I have a car, I have a job that has me feel of service. I have, right, our lens is looking for things that we are grateful for. And when we keep building and building and building upon that, and by the way, when I first practiced gratitude, when I go right back to, just a few weeks after that day on that, in that bedroom, that rock bottom moment, and I was given the Louise Hay, it was some kind of, I can't remember exactly, it was like an affirmation, sort of guided visualization that was helping me. Yeah, it was a guided visualization around gratitude. It was helping me to see what to be grateful for. And I couldn't come up with anything. I literally couldn't come up with anything. I was like, I wasn't even grateful for my fiance. I just thought that everything was so bad and I was such a victim. But I practiced, and it started with, I'm grateful for, we have electricity. Like, I have electricity. Yeah, we've got some food in the fridge. Yeah, I'm grateful for my son, of course. But it was kind of like, of course I am, rather than really allowing myself to receive just the beauty of the truth that I'm so freaking lucky to have electricity and to have food and to have this beautiful child. And it built and built and built to the point where sometimes I'm in a gratitude practice and it just makes me cry because my heart is bursting with all that I have. And the more I notice that I have to be grateful for, I feel so held by life. That's what I mean when I say it builds a sense of security in the world. It's really, really powerful to start to feel safe in the world when we change our lens to what we have to be grateful for. We get what we focus on. So gratitude says, I have this and this and this. I'm taken care of. I am loved. I am safe. That feels good. The more we're grateful, the better we feel. So I wonder if you could just quickly jot down now 10 things that you're grateful for and feel how good it feels, because, we're living in a time right now where it's very easy to focus on everything that's not working and everything that feels hard and restrictive and uncertain and fearful. And we feel that in our body. It's not kind. I'm not saying it's not true. I really am a big believer in acknowledging what really is going on. And there's another truth. So gratitude invites you to really look for the other truth. Love yourself enough to be practiced, to take the self-responsibility, make the effort, really make the effort to look for what's good, because it's freaking easy to just look for what's bad. It's easy to live and kind of sink into that space of victim. Victim is that archetype has been my go-to for years. I lived in victim for many, many years. And even now, if I'm going to sabotage something, or if I'm going to fall back into old behaviors, I will go to my victim. There's a whole other workshop around the beauty of the victim and the gift of the victim, but that's for another time. But really make the effort to look for gratitude. Love yourself enough to look for gratitude. So I'm just going to have a sip of water and let you keep writing a few more things that you're grateful for. Notice how good it feels, especially in these times, to focus on gratitude. Hope you feel good for doing that. And the final pillar of self-love is asking. Asking is the first step to receiving. So it's about loving yourself enough to ask for what you need, because it builds self-worth. I really want you to hear that. Loving yourself enough to ask for what you need builds self-worth. Asking is a vulnerable act, and in every ask, you're telling yourself that you are worthy of help, support, guidance, abundance, and love. You are receiving your value and worth more deeply. So you're doing a lot of practices to experience your value and your self-worth through self-acknowledgement, through gratitude, through all of the 7 pillars that we've been talking about. And then when you can be humble and vulnerable enough to ask for help when you need it, it's like you're like self-value and self-worth on steroids. It just really ramps it up and takes it to the next level. By your very nature as a spiritual being, you are a co-creator. You are not designed to do life alone. Life is a collaboration. It's a universal law. So it's almost like it's kind of rude not to ask. It's kind of going against how you're built. What's very, like it says, it's your natural way of being. It's your spiritual nature, because our spiritual selves, as I think I touched on in the beginning of the call, our spiritual self is plugged in and connected with life, God, the universe, source energy, all that is, whatever your language is. Our spirit is just plugged into that. It's not separate from that. It's one and the same. And so when we can learn to ask for help, so the first level of asking for help is asking life, the universe, God, to show you how to receive your heart's highest hopes. Really acknowledging that your brain doesn't have all the answers, but your spirit does, and life does, and they know how to guide you, and they have answers for you that you could, and ways of getting to where you want to go that you could never have conceived of. You could never have figured it out. It's a miracle, actually, how life will guide you. Even, I was saying earlier, when I look back at that day in the bedroom for me, and I see how life guided me, and my process was my process, and I followed the breadcrumbs and somehow ended up here. Like, that was a miracle. And I didn't even, the beauty of it was I didn't even know I was doing it. I didn't even realize that I was setting a powerful intention, and that through making that choice and that emotionally backed decision that day, it set the wheels in motion for life and the universe to go, let's take her. She's chosen now. She's essentially energetically instructed us to take her on a path that is perfect for her. I didn't even know I was doing it. So it's such a natural process. We don't even need to know that we're pressing go on that experience, because it's just meant to be. It's really cool. How else can you ask for help? You can ask a friend to help you with something. Like, really be vulnerable enough to ask. And in the ask, you are saying to yourself, I'm worthy of this. I'm valuable. I'm deserving of their help. Because when you reverse that, if a friend was to say to you, can you help me with something? Well, A, it makes you feel good to be asked usually. And it makes you feel good if you're filled up and overflowing with goodness to give and you're not living in the space of martyr, right? So if you have a beautiful self-love practice going on and someone asks you for help, you're like, yeah, let me help you. It makes you feel good. And it makes them feel good because they are getting to experience that they're worthy of your help. Yeah, so I would invite you to practice this over the next few days. Like, just practice in your journal, asking life, God, the universe, to support you, to show you the way. Maybe ask a friend for help. Practice, build that self-worth, that self-value piece, because you're daring to ask somebody. And quite frankly, in these times, if community didn't come together, if people weren't asking for help, we'd be kind of screwed, right? We're all realizing the importance of asking for help. If you need it, you're going to ask for it. Now's a really good time to practice that. Yeah, I've written that in, ask the shop attendant for help with your bags. I know most of us aren't really doing a lot of shopping right now, but I remember when I was practicing asking, because by the way, asking is the first step to receiving. And we all want to receive a lot. We've got big desires and big dreams and goals, and we want to call in amazing experiences and people and money and all sorts of juiciness, right? Unless we ask, we're not opening ourselves up energetically to receive that. It's the first step. And I remember when I was really learning to practice the art of receiving, again, it's a whole other training, practicing the art of receiving, I just had to say yes when anybody offered help. And I was, at this point in my life, I was a single parent. I was like, I got this. I can cope with anything. I'm a survivor. Like, I was really capable. And I wasn't very good at saying thank you when someone offered help. I'd be like, no, I've got it. Don't worry about it. I got this. I'm good. I don't need your help. And I was in a shop one day and I bought some plates, and it was quite a heavy box. And the shop attendant said, it was like a little, lovely little shop. And he said to me, would you like me to carry the box to your car? And my instant response was, no, thanks. I got this. Like, thank you. Really sweet. But no, I'm good. And then I remembered that I'd set this commitment to practice asking so that I could put myself in an energetic space to be open to receiving. And I said, I'm sorry, actually, I was really vulnerable. I said, you know what? I always say no to help. Actually, that was really kind of you. Thank you. Yeah, I would love it if you could take the box to my car. And he loved that he could help me. It definitely helped me out. Like, there's no way when I got to the boot of my car, I was thinking, how on earth I think I was going to do that on my own. Probably would have smashed all the plates. So it's a really lovely thing to practice. And I invite you over the next few days to practice asking. So finally, I want to leave you with this tool. And I really invite you to write this down. So many people say to me, oh, I'd love to start a journaling practice. Not least, Katie, you're always telling us that the fastest route to really knowing ourselves and having a relationship with ourselves and understanding ourselves and building self-trust and all that good stuff is through journaling. And I say that all the time because that was my journey. I used to spend hours journaling. It was how I got to know myself. It really was. Like, I would just write and explore my thoughts, and I would kind of dump down my feelings, and I'd write kind of letters that I never had to send. And I would just express myself onto paper. And the more I did, the more I was developing this beautiful, deep, connected relationship with myself. And I would move through a process of writing down all my thoughts and then writing down all my feelings. And as I kind of released all of that from me, I found myself in a very beautiful and gentle and open-hearted space where I wasn't filled with all the noise and the clutter of the disempowering thoughts and sabotaging emotions and all that yuck. I just found myself in this place of peace where I could just write kind of, it's like soul writing. I would just write from my spirit. It's like my spirit, and this is step 6. I'll get to it in a minute. I call it free writing. It's like I would just be able to hear the voice of my spirit. And this very wise, very, very wise and loving voice would often just come through and just sort of whisper to me, usually something like, everything's going to be okay. Don't worry so much. Just let it go. Just as you are right now, it's okay. It's enough. You know, you got this. And sometimes beautiful ideas would come through, answers would come through. I just found my guidance through my journaling practice. But there was a definite process, and I've created this because I've sort of adapted it into something that I can now teach and share with you. And I've been sharing this process with the people I've been doing my calls with every morning. I've been doing this self-love session every day. And we've been working through this, and the feedback I've been getting has been really incredible. And, you know, after the calls, people have been texting and emailing and commenting and saying how this has had them understand journaling in a way they never did before. A lot of them were like, oh God, she's going to teach us a journaling practice and I'm going to have to write Dear Diary. I'm not asking you to do that. I feel like what I've created here is practical and powerful. So as you can see, you're starting with the brain dump. And what that means is you're just going to get everything out of your head, all the noise and the clutter and the anger and the upset and the to-do list and like everything that is just kind of, quite frankly, making you feel crazy, making you feel like you can't deal with life. Just get it all down. One woman told me the other day that when we were doing this practice, she just scribbled. It was like there wasn't even words. I just needed to just scribble on the page, and that's okay. That is releasing your head, releasing your intellect, so that you can then move into your heart. Once you've dumped everything out and you've acknowledged it, you're not judging it, you're not trying to fix it. It's just full acknowledgement of this is what I'm thinking, this is what I'm feeling, this is what sometimes or definitely does feel true for me. Before you move into a space of acknowledging what else could be true, right? This is a very loving act. It's a very compassionate act, actually. It's very kind to just get it out of your head, let it go. Because, by the way, it's a bit like you've got like a train track going around and around. If you build a train track for the kids, there's all little track pieces, and you just build a circle. And all these thoughts and beliefs and noise and chat, it's just going around and around and around and around on a loop, round and round and round, making you feel crazy. So if you just pick up one of the tracks and turn it outward, so the loop is open and it goes around and out, around and out. Through journaling, you're around and out, you're releasing that, and you're just taking the tension out from your head, and you're creating calm and stillness. And from that place, you can then drop into your heart. And it's the perfect time. And we were just doing this as part of the 7 pillars of self-love. You're going to write 3 things that you're grateful for, 3 things you're proud of yourself for, 3 things you value about yourself. And as you connect with those pieces and really allow yourself to feel the truth of that writing, you're very much dropping into your heart space, which means you're moving into connection with your spiritual self. It feels calmer, it feels easier, it feels more loving. From that space, you can ask for help and guidance. So you're moving into asking. And it might be a prayer, something along the lines of, even though I don't know how to forgive, I'm willing to be shown. Thank you for guiding me. Even though I don't know where to begin in loving myself. This woman, I just did a webinar with her. She said I can be guided. So even though I don't even really believe her, I'm willing to be shown. Thank you for guiding me. I need the answer to ... Thank you for showing it to me. I need to know how to create or achieve ... Thank you for showing me. Where's my man? Thank you for showing me. That was something I wrote many, many times before I met James. And after you've made the ask, if it feels good for you, just allow your spirit to come through and just write. Often, right on the back of asking for what you need, because you're so connected by that point to your heart and to your spirit, remembering that that's the part of you that's plugged into source energy, often your answers will just come through in the free writing. And I'm not saying that will happen immediately if you're new to journaling, or it might, but it's such a beautiful way to receive guidance, and just sit with you and sit with God, and sit with your spirit and just write and see what comes. And I think you could possibly be quite amazed at what miraculous guidance can come through. Mm-hmm. So I hope you've written down that 6-step process to journaling. And that is essentially the end of the presentation. I'll stop sharing my screen in a moment, but I just want to reiterate this offer. And I want to reiterate that because you have loved yourself enough, and I fully honor that. I'm just so driven by and excited by women who put themselves first like that and really do what they say they're going to do. And for those of you watching the replay, I say that with so much love, because I know I've had emails from people saying I can't come live because this work calls come in or whatever, and it's not sort of your fault. And I feel like it's important to really honor those of you that really did make the effort to show up live. So on top of this special offer of $997 for all of that, the self-love bundle, which is 9 months, actually probably more than 9 months worth of support, very high level support too. And by the way, my private coaching starts at $5,000. So you're getting access to me and my coaching and personal attention from me, to the degree that I will know you and I will know what's going on for you. And when we're in the Evolution membership and doing the group coaching calls and you're posting every day, I'll know you. So whatever you post, I will be, and when I say I know you, it's because of the reset experience. You will have filled out a huge packet of information for me. We'd have done a 2-hour deep dive coaching call, followed by another one, and actually followed by another one because you're here live. I will know you, I'll understand you, I'll know what you're working through. So when you're in the membership, whatever you post, I will be there to respond to you in a way that's really like daily support. Like, what do you need? I'll come back and support you. I'll be able to guide you more than I would somebody that I haven't done any private coaching with. And people in my membership who have been privately coached by me are already receiving the benefit of that. You know, for £39 a month, they're getting a ton of good value from me and from other experts. So $997, I think it's a no-brainer, and I would love to support you through the rest of this year to really make 2020 great and to really receive the invitation that has come at us at this very special time in the world's history. Thank you. Let me find a way to stop sharing so I can see your beautiful faces. There's the PayPal link if you want to check it out. There's some comments there. Katie, I have to go now. I don't want to at all, and we'll continue with this just as soon as I can. You're welcome. Florence, thank you. Mary Pierre, thank you so much. Great to connect with you all. Thank you. You're welcome, Natasha, Susie, thank you so much. Is anybody, by the way, I know we've run over, but I am so happy to continue on with Q&A. I would love to answer any questions that you have. So if anybody wants to, and I'd love for you to pop your camera on so I can see you if you want to. Thank you so much, Katie from Susie, you're welcome. Would anybody like to ask me a question? If you do want to ask me a question, the only way really is to put your camera on and then wave at me. and then I would so happily answer any questions you have. Anyone? Natalie, it's a great offer, Katie. I missed the first bit. Got stuck in a Sainsbury's queue. So we'll watch the replay. Thank you for this wonderful content. You're welcome. So Natalie, the offer was that You must have been here for that last slide. Yeah, but I will, yeah. Anyway, looks like someone's trying to put a camera on. I can see lots of pink there, Marie-Pierre, or maybe you're ending off. Any questions? Oh, there you are. Hi. Do you want to say hello? I'll unmute you. It won't let me unmute you. I'll let you unmute you. It won't let me for some reason.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. You're in Paris, aren't you?
Yes, I am.
Oh, hello, darling. How are you?
Hi, I'm good. How are you? It's been so long. It's so great to talk to you.
Oh, I know. What's news? How can I support? Can I support you at all with an answer?
Yes, I didn't want to put the camera on because I don't have my makeup on, so I don't feel comfortable, but that's okay. My question is how to restore trust in yourself when you feel that how can you trust yourself again when you've done something and you feel that you were not successful enough and you want to give it a try again?
Forgiveness.
Forgiveness.
Yeah, we all make mistakes. We all screw up. It's actually really brave to try something and fail than never to have tried at all, right? But you need to get to a place of being okay with that for yourself. So it's all very well that I say like a Hallmark card comment to you like that. But it's about you getting to a place of being like, you know what? I made a mistake. So self-forgiveness would be a part of that process. I also would invite you to, like, I just don't believe, I believe that life is always supporting us and guiding us. So within what you're perceiving to be a mistake would be an opportunity for self-understanding. Again, self-forgiveness would be one of the opportunities, something that perhaps, perhaps your soul has come here to learn how to forgive yourself. Perhaps that to create a capacity for forgiveness is a really important piece that you need to learn here in this lifetime. Maybe that's resonating with you as I'm saying that right now, because maybe you can look back into your past and see all sorts of things where life has given you opportunities and people and circumstances that have caused you pain and upset. And it's happened because you're here to learn how to forgive. Maybe. But without like diving into it, we don't really know what the lesson is. Suffice to say, what you're experiencing, because you're feeling some pain around this, because you're feeling some fear and you're kind of like nervous to even try again because of your experience, it suggests to me that there's something to learn here. Often our opportunities for growth come from pain and discomfort and things not working out. I mean, the amount of growth I received because my relationship with my son's father, because that relationship didn't work out. Oh my God, like years of growth came out of that. It was a horrible experience, but God, did I learn a lot. That was the key to me even ending up here on this call with you. So there's an opportunity there to be explored. Like, what was the learning? What have you discovered about yourself through that not working? How do you know yourself better? How have you been guided to something better, a different way of approaching your business or your life because that didn't work out? Well, you moved on my screen. There you are. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
I could go on and on with that. Like, without having a coaching call around it, I'm top lining it. But there will be an opportunity in here for you to create awareness around. There will be emotional expression around that and releasing all of the emotion attached to the perceived failure. There will be forgiveness around the perceived failure. And then there'll be, you know, it'll have you moving into setting the intention for, okay, so how am I going to use this life experience? What have I learned? What can I take forward? Bye, Florence. I see you, and you've got to go, and I love you. Thank you for joining. Bye, honey. Bye. Susie's got to go. Oh, I didn't get to say goodbye. Bye, Susie. Yeah, so is that helpful?
Yes, it is. I mean, there's a lot of things coming up, so I cannot go any further because there's too much things coming up. So, but yes, it does resonate.
Be kind to yourself. Be kind to yourself. We all experience what we think is failure, and it has us all be scared to try again. For me, like I told you, my learning was through relationships. So when that relationship failed, and then I really properly screwed up the next one, or just went into a really bad one, I was very nervous to ever start again. I was like, I am not cut out for this relationship stuff. I don't want to go there again. But there was a lot of learning, a lot of growth. There was a lot of opportunity within all of that pain.
Okay. So I guess the same thing. What's coming up is actually that I'm very angry at myself. I know that's a very strong word, but this is what comes up. So it would still be self-forgiveness and acceptance.
First step, acknowledging that anger. That anger is real and understandable, and it needs to be seen and heard, and it needs to be expressed.
Okay.
Through acknowledging and feeling that anger, you can move into a place of forgiveness. You cannot, and perhaps I should have said this on the training, I mean, we can't forgive until we've expressed and explored and felt all of our feelings around the experience. Otherwise, it's like putting a band-aid over a shark bite. Like, you can't forgive until you've fully acknowledged your own experience and felt all that needs feeling around that, because you were hurt. And that yeah, it's really important to feel that first. So actually, when I shared those 7 pillars with you, there is a process: awareness, emotional expression, forgiveness. You can't do it in the reverse order. You've got to get aware of the problem, aware of what needs shifting. You've got to feel what you feel around that without judgment, because that's the route to healing. And then you move into forgiveness. But you can't forgive before acknowledging you first, because that's just not right. It's about putting you first and feeling you first. That makes sense.
Yes, it does. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you for bravely asking a question. Love that. I've got a few more messages here. And yeah, okay. There's some private messages to me there, which I won't read out loud. And great. Okay. So thank you, everybody, for joining. I hope that I can support some of you for the remainder of this year. It would be my absolute pleasure. It would be such an honor to help you through 2020 and have you feeling awesome by the end of it. So yeah, I think that's it. I think we're done. I love you. Mwah. Thank you for joining. And if you've got any questions at all, you know how to reach me. Just send me an email and I will answer them. And if you want to jump on a call with me, if you've got any particular questions to explore the offer, let me know and we'll see what we can do. Okay. See you later. Love you lots. Bye.